Hi boys and girls, I hope you had a great weekend. It's warming up, summer's here. We have 2 more weeks of school though, so please stay focused. Today I'm going to read a book called Caps for Sale. And you can see on that cover, there's a peddler in the tree. That man is a peddler, that means he sells things. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler, carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on the top of his head. First, he had his own check cap, and I wore my check cap to read the story to you too, boys and girls. Then he had a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. And there is the peddler with his caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street, and he walked down the street calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents for caps!" But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody even wanted a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said. And he walked out of town, slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long, long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put his hand up to feel if they were straight. First he checked his own cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red caps at the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. There is the peddler, all refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap.
My God.
That's all I have too, boys and girls. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree. What do you think he saw, boys and girls? What do you think is up in the tree? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. And there are the monkeys in their caps. The peddler looked at the monkeys, and the monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them, "you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their finger back at him and said, "Sit, sit, sit." And there are the monkeys shaking their fingers back at the peddler. That made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands and said to them, "You monkeys, you, give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both hands back at him and said, "Sit, sit, sit." There are the monkeys again, shaking both of their fists at him. Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." What do you think the monkeys did, boys and girls? They stamped their feet back at him and said, "Sit, sit, sit." There are the monkeys stomping their feet. What do you think the peddler will do next, boys and girls? By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." but the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Sit, sit, sit." The monkeys aren't cooperating, are they? At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. But then, each monkey pulled off their cap. What do you think they did, boys and girls? They threw them on the ground too! All of the gray caps, all of the brown caps, all of the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps, put them back on his head, first he checked his own cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps. On the very top. And there is the peddler with all of his caps back, very happy. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" Hey boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed that story. If you're in kindergarten this week, you're going to be reading Caps for Sale or talking about it. And if you are in any grade, kindergarten or otherwise, one way you can enter the weekly challenge this week is to find a spot in your yard, a big tree or just a comfortable spot where you can read a book. One of your favorite books, send me a picture or a video, and that's one way you can enter the weekly challenge. Have a great week.